Oh, when it's ready. Okay. Well, I want to congratulate all you kids for coming. I ain't a very good speaker, but it's nice to see all you kids. I was in Oh, my name's Ken Wood, and I was in the United States Navy during World War II. And how I come to get in the Navy, I had an uncle that served in World War I, and he said to when I got ready, if I had to go to service, when they was having a draft, he said I wouldn't go to the Army, I'd go to the Navy. So that's how I got in the Navy. So I waited till my draft number come up, and then I went and joined the Navy. And the funny part of it was, I married my high school sweetheart, and we got married the day I got my papers to report. So that was quite a coincidence. So then I got my papers, and they sent me to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That's where I come from, was South Dakota. And we had to go through some stuff. That's where we got sworn in the Navy. And then they sent us to boot camp at the Great Lakes down by Chicago. And we was down there, well, let's see, maybe it tells me. I was down there about a year. And then they sent me to school at Chicago, Illinois. I was going to be a signalman, which we learned the Morse code and how to work them flags they had. And we was there about 3 weeks. And they had this ship getting in commission. They said, we're going to have to get you out of here because you got to go with this ship. So I went down to Philadelphia. And then I was there about a week, and we put this USS Kowaleski, which was an oil tanker. It was a USS AO-79. We put that in commission, and we took weeks, they called a shakedown cruise, to make sure everything on the thing was working. So then we got orders, we was going to haul oil from Texas to New Jersey. We done that for about 6 or 8 months, and then they had a convoy going to Africa, and we went with this convoy because we had oil tank to fuel these ships, the destroyers, and I think we had one cruiser with us. But this is maritime ships that we was escorting over there.
Gloria Simonson, call room 209. Gloria, call room 209.
So the first time we went there, we went Casablanca, Africa. And when you get down there now, I think they had about 10 ships abroad. We go through the Rock of Gibraltar, and they had to narrow it down to 4 rows. And we went there, delivered this stuff, this troops took this stuff in there. So then we went back to Norfolk, Virginia, and then we got orders to go again. That time we went to Oran, Africa. And that's been so long, I can't remember how long we stayed there. And then we made several trips over there. And then when we got back, one time I got orders, I was being transferred to went to Philadelphia receiving station there and put this repair ship in commission. And we put that in commission in must have been 7th month of 22 of 44. Then we got it commissioned, and we took a shakedown cruise with it for about a week. Then we got orders. We was going. The war had got over on this side in the Atlantic, and so they sent us to the Pacific. And we went out to San Diego and got some more orders. And then they sent us to a little island on the way out there in the Pacific. They called Erie. And they'd had a big battle on there, and the only thing that was left, I think, was one tree. It was all you could see there on this island. And so all hands, they anchored us out there, and all hands over the side, we had to paint the ship a camouflage color so it would blend in with everything, and they couldn't tell who we was. So we got to, I don't know how long it took us to paint this ship. We was there several days. And then we went over what they called the Shiskashima Islands. And that's where we was going to repair these ships. They had these destroyer escorts guarding this harbor. The flagship was on the USS Terrier, a minesweeper. I think we was in the 7th Fleet when we went there. So we went in this island, and they had the destroyers guarding this island, and about every day or two, one of them would get hit with these airplanes they call a kamikaze that come out of Japan. And they would, when they was left over Japan, they wasn't supposed to go back, and they'd crash into the ship, see anything, and blow them up. So a lot of them got banged up, and we was sitting in this harbor, in this islands, repairing these ships. So they got to looking around there one time, and they had these little boats. They had an engine in them, something like what they used to put in these old Chevrolet cars. And what they'd do with them, they'd found a bunch of these abandoned there. And they'd put this TNT or explosives in it, and they'd send them out in, if there was a ship out there, guide them toward this ship, and then they'd get off. And so when it hit the ship, it would blow them up. They found a whole bunch of them over there that they'd left. But one morning, we got to looking through a big field glass there. We had a big telescope, and we seen a white flag waving on this hill. And so we went and reported it, because they'd had trouble. There was a bunch of them army guys from Japan, and they was getting in these Korean gardens, and they didn't like that. And they'd had several reports of them destroying their gardens. So we seen this flag.
Mrs. Ritlinger, would you call the office 102? Mrs. Ritlinger, call the office.
We reported it to our skipper, and then they all got together with these other ships, and they sent a bunch of these landing barges, little landing boats over there. They made them come down, strip their clothes all off, and get in the boats, and I don't know just where they took them. But we was in that Shiskashima Islands for a long time. It seemed like a long time. And we used to get them raids in there with them kamikazes. And so one night, we had these generators on the back of these ships that put out smoke, and the smoke out the harbor, so you would hear them planes flying around up there, and they sound just like, I don't know if you ever heard one of these old Maytag engines on a washing machine. That's what they sounded like that they had back there when I was a kid. When they used to call them Charlie. They called them Charlie, and you could hear them. Well, one of these ships, I think it was the USS Terror, that was our flagship, their generator quit. And when they shot these guns, they had one that would be a shot, and then the other would be so they could tell where the shots was going. And this plane followed this right down and hit it, see. And it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And we reported to see what was happening. We reported and got everybody out, and it crashed into this ship. It started a fire. I don't know how many don't remember how many got killed, but it was burning inside the ship. And the bulkhead, we could see it was dark. We had to stay on the bridge for messages, and the bulkhead on this ship was getting red from that fire down in there. So they finally got that under control. And then another time, we had 3 of them destroyers tied on each side if they was repairing. And one night we had a kamikaze come. They had the smoke, and boy, they had them 5-inch guns on these destroyers, and man, boom, boom, you couldn't hear nothing, you couldn't see nothing for smoke. So our first class signalman there, I said to Reese, I said, you think we're still afloat? So I reached over and took hold of the bulkhead. Well, I said, I think we are. And then one other on a Sunday, everybody was kind of, they hadn't had any rage, you know, and it was kind of cooled off. And one of them kamikazes come in there. Well, I'm getting a little ahead of my story. They had one of these APA, that was a transport ship, and they had a bunch of wounded that they took off of the hospital ship, and I don't know how many they had, but it seemed like they was all day loading this transport, and he was going to bring them back to the United States, back to the States, to the hospitals. And so this kamikaze come in. We had a radar up on the hill. You could tell if somebody was coming, and we had him on the ship. And he come right in along the shoreline, flying low, and nobody picked it up. And it went over there and flew right into this APA that had all these wounded on. I can't remember. It seemed like it killed the most of them, though. I can't remember the direct number, but it was quite a sight. So then we got word the war was over. So we went up, they sent us up to Okinawa. And the first night we was there, they had a little deal there, and the war wasn't over. We got the wrong message, and several guys got killed that night there. So then they sent us into Buckner Bay, and that's where we was. And they tied us to what they called a big buoy, called a typhoon mooring buoy. So the skipper, he was getting nervous. This big typhoon was supposed to come, and we was wanting to get out of there. We thought we'd be better riding it out to sea, and we was tied in that harbor. So he asked permission to leave, and they said, no, you're tied to a typhoon mooring buoy. Remain. So we did. So the wind it was blowing terrible. You couldn't see nothing, and water was blowing out of the ocean, and then it started getting night, and there was a little gunboat, I suppose about 80 foot long or something. It had, I think, it had 40, 50 guys on it, and they was on the rocks. They was breaking up, and we caught that signal. So we sent a line over. We got up there and we sent a line to them and brought all them. We rescued all them off of that little ship. And we was gonna go out of the harbor. We'd lost our anchors. We'd anchored, and they had to cut our chains loose. We got all tangled up, and this navigator we had was going to take us out of the harbor by radar. And that's when we was going, this little ship I was telling about. They thought we was going to run right over the top of them. And we got the word, so they stopped, and we got the guys off of that ship. And they had this thing up on the yardarm on our ship that measured the wind velocity, and it was blowing 123 miles an hour, and that thing blowed off. And you couldn't see nothing for water. We had a rope run around the bridge up there where we was at, so you could walk around and see what you was doing. And so he was going to take us out of the harbor, the navigator. And we run aground. So we started listening awful bad. We thought we was going to tip over. So it was night then, and so everybody kind of went to bed and forgot about it. Nothing we could do. We got up early the next morning, went out, the sun was coming up, and there we sat. And I don't know what, he must have got mixed up on his radar, but we was headed right for the beach. That's where we run aground. We sat there for about 2 or 3 days, and finally